think that I've now, at 63 years old, suddenly owned that it's not a bad thing to speak your voice.
There was like photos with her and Prince Andrew way back in the day when she was...
It was just past midnight, the kind of hour when Hollywood lights flicker out, London streets are stirring awake, and the machinery of royal journalism hasn't even started to breathe. And yet, the world was already ablaze. Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, had shattered every rule of decorum. She had unleashed a set of explosive, never-before-seen photographs, raw, unedited, impossible to ignore, capturing Meghan Markle aboard a sun-drenched yacht with Prince Andrew. Moments that had long been whispered about, the first photos were a bomb. The timing was a seismic shock. Within moments, hashtags exploded across social media, podcasts went live in a frenzy, and royal correspondents, who swore they were off-duty, hurried into coats and sprinted back to studios. Yet at the eye of the storm, Meghan Markle was nowhere to be seen. Not calm, not poised, not strategically silent. She was shattered. Tears streaked her face, according to a source close to her Montecito sanctuary. She had never expected this. Not from Fergie. In the old days, Meghan might have laughed it off, brushed it away with charm. But the moment was combustible. Fergie and Meghan had never been close. Never truly. And yet, inside the tightly wound machinery of royal tradition, there had always been a tacit rule. Former duchesses do not destroy one another. The past stays hidden, blurred, buried, or draped behind palace curtains. But Fergie lit the fuse anyway. The first image hit like a slap to the face. Meghan laughing on a Mediterranean yacht, wind tangled in her hair, oversized sunglasses shielding her expression, a drink in hand. Surrounded by men tabloids politely called the international elite. Andrew stood nearby, young, tanned, unmistakably present, and even those closest to Meghan were shocked. But the second photo was incendiary. Meghan wasn't merely socializing. She wasn't posing. She wasn't blending into the scene. She was leaning toward Andrew, whispering, her hand brushing his arm with a familiarity that set social media sleuths into a feeding frenzy. Some called it innocent. Others intimate. Some said incriminating. Yet the real question wasn't Meghan, it was Fergie. Why now? Why her? Why release them herself? Sources inside York circles say Fergie had reached her breaking point. Years of scandal by association with Andrew, years of unfair judgment, endless comparisons to every duchess that followed, and now, watching Harry and Meghan paint themselves as victims was the last straw. Fergie wanted the world to see the full story, not the curated version Meghan had spent years perfecting, and she didn't leak quietly. She struck with commentary, sharp, fiery, unflinching. Some memories should never be rewritten. Boom. Not subtle, not polite, not passive-aggressive palace shade. Fergie was unfiltered, unapologetic, stepping into the arena with the precision of someone who had nothing left to lose. Within minutes, Meghan was the UK's top trending topic. 10 minutes later, the US followed. And the reactions tore the internet in two. One side defended Meghan, insisting these were relics of her past, young networking moments like any rising actress might have. The other demanded answers. How did she know Andrew? What was she doing on that yacht? Why had this chapter of her life vanished from every interview, every speech, every documentary? But the person most rattled wasn't the public, it was Meghan. Inside her Montecito estate, surrounded by high hedges and tall windows, she paced, furious, panicked, devastated. Years of carefully sculpted narrative, her rise, her image, her identity, had been obliterated in minutes. She felt blindsided, trapped in a storm she couldn't control. And worse, she couldn't respond without fueling the fire. Meghan had always operated in two modes: control the story or silence it. This time, neither was possible. Control the narrative or bury it forever. But this time, neither path existed. Fergie wasn't a gossip columnist, a blogger, or a viral commentator. She wasn't a YouTuber spinning drama for clicks. She was a duchess, a royal insider with knowledge, influence, and evidence that could ignite storms. And the receipts she held? They were only the opening act, then the story veered into darker territory. The first photos weren't the finale, they were the ignition. Epstein, whispers of King Charles, even the king himself caught in the crosshairs of scrutiny during an official engagement. Rumors began to surge. These weren't isolated snapshots. They were fragments of a private archive Fergie had guarded for decades, hidden from the public eye, until now. And once the first images went viral, speculation ignited that Fergie possessed even more, enough to rewrite Meghan's entire pre-Harry chapter in ways the world had never imagined. Meanwhile, Meghan's team scrambled in a flurry of calls, lawyers, PR strategists, crisis managers, desperately trying to contain the inferno. Fergie, by contrast, remained cold, calculated, unapologetic. A royal editor summed it up bluntly: "You can battle the tabloids. You can battle the palace. But you cannot battle a duchess armed with a grudge." Fergie hadn't merely leaked pictures. She dropped a narrative bomb, a seismic shock that rattled Buckingham corridors, unsettled public opinion, and forced whispers of what comes next, even in the hallowed halls of the monarchy. This wasn't simply about Meghan's past. It was about the intersecting worlds of the Yorks, the Sussexes, and the Windsors, power networks suddenly colliding in ways no one anticipated. For Meghan, it was personal. And this was only the first strike. Royal circles were already murmuring, if she released these, what else could she unleash? The palace's response was muted, almost imperceptible, sliding like a shadow through Buckingham's halls. Yet behind the calm, a storm was brewing. Advisors moved in silent channels, alerting aides, crafting statements, and reminding everyone of one immutable truth: protocol and discretion were sharper than any headline. Every leak filtered, every whisper analyzed, every action of Meghan's camp logged and monitored. And Fergie? Relentless. Each new photograph, sun-drenched, carefree, aboard a yacht with Andrew, was released with surgical precision. One image more revealing than the last. The palace watched silently, but with hawk-like focus. Public opinion, volatile as ever, began to shift. The images contradicted Meghan's painstakingly sculpted persona, serene, charitable, poised. Instead, she appeared indulgent, entangled in a web of scandal, far from the immaculate royal image she had long cultivated. Meghan's team swung into crisis mode. PR experts, legal advisors, media strategists all mobilized. Every channel was scrutinized, every statement drafted and rewritten, a delicate balance between defense and guilt, between arrogance and denial. Each line walked a razor's edge. Sensing the panic, Fergie doubled down. She released more photos, each time to land precisely as Meghan's team tried to dampen the fire. One shot captured Meghan laughing alongside Andrew. Another, a subtle, intimate gesture. Moments that, out of context, screamed scandal. Social media exploded. Analysts, commentators, and influencers dissected every pixel. Inside Meghan's camp, tension boiled. Debates erupted: respond publicly, emphasizing philanthropy, or stay silent, risking the narrative spinning unchecked? Meghan oscillated between fury, fear, and disbelief, reportedly in tears, convinced the photos were weaponized to ruin her. Meanwhile, Fergie's calculated release strategy refused to relent. The story never lost momentum. The palace, a fortress of protocol, responded cautiously, repeating key phrases: no comment on private lives, respect for privacy, focus on charitable work. Yet every repetition underscored the storm. Social media churned with clips of Meghan laughing against the backdrop of luxury, analysts noting the stark contrast with her public image of moderation and empathy. Fergie's strategy wasn't merely exposure, it was psychological precision. Each photo carried cues, gestures with Andrew, relaxed postures, unguarded expressions, all feeding a narrative. Photographers, commentators, and social media detectives dissected clothing, body language, subtle expressions. Every detail, from a sunlit tilt of her hat to a carefree laugh, became fodder for debate, for gossip, for speculation. In response, Meghan's advisors implemented a three-tier strategy. First, internal review. Every image, every rumor, every headline cataloged, assessed for threat. Second, external influence. Friendly media briefed subtly, narratives nudged toward charity, philanthropy, and deflection from the yacht images. Third, public-facing statements, drafted meticulously, rewritten again and again, each word calibrated to withstand scrutiny from tabloids and constitutional observers alike. Every image, every rumor, every headline was cataloged and dissected for its potential threat. Then came the next layer: subtle media influence. Friendly outlets were quietly briefed, nudged to highlight Meghan's charity work, downplay the yacht images, steer the narrative toward control. Third, public statements were drafted meticulously, repeatedly, revised until every word could withstand scrutiny from tabloids and constitutional experts alike. Behind the scenes, the palace moved like a ghost in the corridors. No official comment, no confrontation. Trusted aides reached out to media and social circles, gauging reactions, offering context. The royal family's image remained untarnished, cloaked in philanthropy and stability, a distraction without acknowledgement. Outside, the storm raged. Inside, the institution appeared impervious. Meanwhile, Meghan's emotions swung violently. Sources close to the Sussexes described a mix of betrayal and exposure, a sinking feeling that the photographs were part of a deliberate campaign to undermine her credibility. Every social media thread dissecting her gestures, expressions, and words intensified the weight of scrutiny. Private moments had become public weaponry, striking at the core of her carefully curated persona. Fergie, sensing the pressure cooker, continued her calculated drip of images, each paired with commentary, subtle, provocative, designed to emphasize the gap between Meghan's cultivated image and the candid reality on the yacht. The effect was immediate. Headlines splintered into outrage, analysis, satire. Social media erupted with debate, memes, and speculation about Meghan's life and her relationship with Harry. The palace, as always, watched silently. Internal memos reminded staff discretion, protocol, and the preservation of institutional dignity were paramount. Scandals flare, but the monarchy endures if handled strategically. Engagement was only warranted if the story threatened to spill into constitutional or governance matters. Meghan's team fought to regain control. Damage limitation plans were drafted, amended, sometimes abandoned as new images surfaced. Lawyers weighed lawsuits over unauthorized photographs, but any legal move risked amplifying the scandal. Media strategists argued over controlled statements, calibrating language to avoid further misinterpretation. By now, the story had crystallized into a high-stakes battle for perception. Fergie had transformed private, carefree moments into a weaponized public narrative. Meghan's advisors struggled to contain it without escalation, while the palace maintained composure, projecting calm as the media frenzy swirled. On one side, Meghan's intimate moments lay exposed, interpreted in ways that threatened her carefully curated image. On the other, Fergie's tactical releases kept the story alive and dominating public discourse. And throughout, the monarchy remained a silent, immovable force, insulating the institution from the storms of personal controversy. Weeks passed. Analysts tore apart each image, each silence, each carefully worded public line. Social media became a battlefield, shaped by Fergie's disclosures as much as Meghan's reactions. The palace observed, measured, waiting, knowing patience and discretion were their greatest instruments of control. By now, Meghan's team, once confident in narrative control, faced the brutal reality. Any misstep could explode globally. Fergie maintained momentum, sprinkling new insights to ensure attention remained on the clash between image and reality. Public perception was shifting. The balance of power in the court of opinion had tilted. Stakes had never been higher. This was no longer just about private moments. It had become a masterclass in strategy, perception, and the tension between personal branding and institutional authority. At the center stood Meghan, navigating a storm she had neither anticipated nor fully controlled. Fergie, inside palace walls, maneuvered with decades of honed precision, every photo, statement, and silent gesture shaping public understanding in real time. Could Meghan reclaim the narrative? Or had Fergie, armed with royal insight and unyielding intent, define the story before it even began? Weeks later, Meghan's world was a tinderbox. Every spark threatened wildfire. The palace, ever calm on the surface, issued only the most neutral statements, carefully curated to suggest dignity and continuity, while leaving the scandal's details untouched. Inside, the gears of strategy turned at full speed. Each new photograph underwent forensic scrutiny, every potential crisis mapped. Meghan's team fractured under the pressure. Strategy sessions erupted with clashing opinions: confront the story head-on with a PR blitz, or remain silent and risk confirming Fergie's narrative. Meghan herself, sources said, teetered between anger and despair. What had been a minor indulgence aboard a yacht now loomed as a public relations nightmare, magnified by social media, celebrity commentary, and relentless news cycles. Fergie, sensing the panic, escalated carefully, releasing supplementary evidence with surgical precision, damaging, tantalizing, suggestive, but never explicit. Each post fueled speculation, creating traps for any response. Too defensive, and it confirmed guilt. Too dismissive, and it seemed arrogant or indifferent.